Welcome back, everybody. Episode 34, Dutch Grand Prix, and I think I might have to say this was the best race of the season.
Uh, yeah, just considering implications, I guess newfound consistency with Ferrari's team, uh, consistency from Mercedes, dominance from Red Bull, but too many wacky incidences happened this weekend, and in my opinion, the British Grand Prix was number one. Canada was a close like two or three. Hungarian GP was pretty up there. Spa was pretty good, but this one, you actually may have an argument of this might be the best GP of the year.
I think I will say so. Yeah, Silverstone is probably the best, as far as pure racing goes. But I think this was the best as far as what the hell happened, dude. It was so entertaining from start to finish. I didn't get to watch it right away live, and you told me that this was one to watch, so I waited and I tried to stay off the internet and watched it back at night. And damn, I'm glad I did that.
Brother, Verstappen had 4 stops and still won. Like that.
Uh,
That's on paper when you look at that and outside looking in, and you didn't watch the race obviously, and you see a stat like that. All you don't think about, oh well, what did he do? What this, that, and the other. You just think, what happened today? What happened today?
yeah, I mean,
Because
let's be
it
honest. It
was
wasn't
wild.
just like he had 4 pit stops. He had 2 pit stops under safety cars, so that was pretty easy, right? So
Yeah,
really,
no,
that's kind of only
100%.
like having three. But no, I mean, their car is definitely by far the fastest, and am confirming my suspicion that the Ferrari car is now equal to the Mercedes. I think the Mercedes might be better than they are now at this point because of that technical directive.
I mean, you got to see what Benito said, which, you know, we we
Let's
we've
we
got
can
some
talk about
opinions.
yeah, we gotta talk about his shenanigans in a little bit because I saw some other stuff from him and
But
I
to
think
say
he.
that about the car,
What did he say about the car?
like you said, they're much more on pace with Mercedes and stuff like that. Dude, he's coming out. He goes, "Oh no, I've been more discouraged about just our lack of overall pace. I'm wondering where that went. I'm not too worried about the pit stops, and I'm not too worried about strategy. I'm worried about the pace over the last 3 races in a row. Well, one, you know, Carlos Sainz won the British GP.
Hmm.
They've been play since then. It's been You've had the Hungarian GP, the Spa GP. Like your pace hasn't gone anywhere, bro.
No,
It's.
it has.
Are you
It has.
sure? Okay, because
It's
I got a hot take. I got it's.
I think when the FIA came in with the technical directive, Ferrari was definitely bending the rules because
Oh
that's what
no, it
Ferrari
affected
does.
them to an extent. I just don't think it
And
affected that much.
I mean, I think it's pretty noticeable. Like I don't think there was ever a time in the race that Leclerc was really challenging Max at all.
Yeah, you got a point. I'm
And
not.
this was a track that should have benefited them because it's like they were saying, like you're always hitting a turn, like you're always setting up for the next turn, and the Ferrari car was better. But you can even see it visibly from last weekend to this one, like the car is unstable again.
Yeah, that's where I think that technical directive actually came into play with just like I mean I guess it is pace. I'll go ahead and just start walking it back because like I guess it is pace or overall pace or something, but I guess not getting the right strategy also makes you look even slower, so that doesn't help.
I
But
mean, yeah, their strategy's not helping them. That's what I wanted to talk about. Was he said that no one on the team should be fired. Like it's not that bad. Their strategies, it's easy to because Nico Rosberg said something that F2 and F3 teams have better strategies on
yeah,
pit stops. And so he was firing back on that one, saying we're keeping all of our people. It's good to have consistency. I'm like, dude, you guys don't have consistency though.
yeah, I was about to say that there is no consistency. That's the problem. But I
You brought
mean, well,
3 tires out.
you.
Had a 12. You had almost a 13-second pit stop for one of your drivers, then a 2.5 second on the other. Where's the consistency there?
Oh, I was about to say that's literally the definition of not being consistent. But I guess
You
we
had
can dive
you had
into that.
drivers in Monaco on totally different tire strategies when y'all should have been getting a 1-2 there. So where's the consistency on that one?
Damn, you cut deep with that one. I'm not even gonna
I mean,
lie.
like, yeah, it's crazy, bro. I have zero expectations from them for the rest of the year until they can their whole team and start fresh, really.
Yeah, which sucks because I mean, let's just go to the start of the race. You think about Ferrari set up for success this weekend. We have Max at pole, we have Leclerc and Sainz both at second and third, ready to go, ready to
Hmm.
take on the Red Bulls. Like
Yeah.
you would think they would have success. You got okay, so Max pole, Leclerc second, Sainz third, Hamilton at fourth, Perez in fifth, and George Russell at sixth, which is perfect for the Mercedes because if they're going to be in the fight, they have the Red Bulls split by 4 cars, so that's cool. That just puts Max in the front, which is whatever. Of course he's going to be up in the front, and then that at least gives you a fighting chance at fourth and sixth to fight the Ferraris at second and third because with the consistently bad eras that they're having, something's going to happen or something. As long as you remain consistent, keep pushing, something will happen. And then Sergio, looked a little bit lackluster this weekend. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think this is where we start to see him come back to his mid-season slump towards the end of the year where he just kind of tapers off. It happened last year and looks like it might be happening this year where he starts out phenomenal and then he kind of just gets a little complacent.
He gets a little complacent, and man, Sergio Perez is such a weird F1 driver for me because just like Stroll, and I know that sounds wild, me comparing Checo to Stroll. I know I'm not trying to, but it's kind of the same thing of he does just good enough results to keep that Red Bull seat, but still of okay, well, he's obviously Max Verstappen's, support driver. He's
But
obviously like this.
what you were saying though, like to be fair, like doing the bare minimum to stay as a Red Bull driver is a lot higher than
Is a
the bare
lot,
minimum
yeah.
to be Aston Martin driver.
The
So I feel
floor
you
at
on that.
Red Bull is much higher than the floors at, Aston Martin,
The
McLaren,
ceilings at
or
Aston
yeah.
Martin.
Oh
I mean,
no, I
anyways.
mean the floor. I mean the floor because their
No,
their regular standard is so much higher.
I was saying the floor at Red Bull is higher than the ceiling at Aston Martin.
Oh well, yeah, you're correct. That's also true because Jesus Christ, man, like Stroll's look underwhelming for the past 4 races.
He did good this last race compared to Vettel,
I mean, fair. Yeah, I guess
but
fair.
Vettel's also retiring, so I mean,
Vettel was also could have been higher in the grid and was on a flyer of a lap, and then just bottled it in qualifying. So that kind of set him up for Sunday.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. But
But
no,
yeah,
dude,
no, the start of the race was kind of interesting, and since you've got fresh eyes on the race, go ahead and break down the start of it. We got a little squirrely with a little bit of contact right off turn one.
yeah, it was a pretty good start. I think Leclerc actually got a bit of a jump. They were showing some stats on that, but he was still behind Max. Max was able to defend in the first
Yeah,
corner, and then was it the first or the second turn where Lewis was coming in hot? Like he had a pretty good start, and then him and Carlos Sainz had a little bit of a I don't know, like a
little
little
bit
bit
of
of
a
some
touch,
rubbing.
little
It's
bit.
like NASCAR,
Oh,
bro. Rubbin's racing, and Lewis
just two
rubbed
dudes
his front
rubbing.
tire. He rubbed his front tire. Oh man, yeah, he brushed up against Carlos Sainz real close, like, and yeah, everyone was like, oh, everyone's like,
Yeah, just held their breath for a little bit.
yeah, yeah, made sure that nothing bad happened, and they were fine. They keep driving, da 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 da. Uh, I think Kevin Magnussen was drunk or something because he came out there doing some just I don't know what he was doing, man. He lost control of the car.
It just got pushed wide. Looked like it was just a little bit of snap of oversteer from the back
Yeah,
end. That's what it
yep.
looked like. But in
I
real
think it was
time, it looked
more.
like he just flew off the track.
I think it was some snap understeer actually, because he kept going. He kept
Oh
going
yeah, that's
wide
right.
out of the turn, and so yeah, then he bounced off the barrier, didn't break his car. That was pretty insane. And then he keeps going. And then I just want to talk about him a little bit more. Later on in the race, he's trying to battle hard against Goat Tiffy himself and just almost takes him out, dude. I don't know if you saw that, but he went super wide in the end of the first corner, and like Goat Tiffy just had to square up the corner a little bit and got him back. But dude, it was super dangerous. I don't know what he was thinking.
No, yeah, Magnuson. Unfortunately, there's just not much to say about him this weekend. Like he started in P18. Like already back the grid, like you said, he's racing Goat Tiffy for God's sakes. Goat Tiffy is just trying to get just scratch another year of a contract. I mean, but like it's dude. Apparently, every day I'm seeing, bro. Like, I I don't know how this is a thing, and I'm once again not trying. F1 is a cutthroat business, but I don't know how this is a thing still. But I'm seeing every single day of, oh no, Nicholas Latifi still has a chance. Nicholas Latifi still has a chance to get signed. He's been in talks with months with Williams. He still has a chance. Still has a chance. Okay, I
He
want to
doesn't have a
ask,
chance.
dude. I want to ask a legitimate question. How does this man have a chance?
He doesn't,
Because,
dude.
in my opinion, just like you're saying in the Lockup Podcast opinion, Goat Tiffy is off the grid. He's off the grid. The decision's been made. We're gonna get into a little bit of silly season stuff that's been announced like
Dude,
at the end of this,
there's
but it's been made, bro.
there's too many big teams making major moves for Williams to just be like, yeah, let's keep Latifi. Like, there's a lot of teams vying for these other drivers to come in. Like you saw Nick DeVries this weekend.
Yeah,
He was in the Mercedes garage, man. So like Williams is a junior team. Mercedes is interested in him. Obviously, he's one of their younger drivers, and he's in their garage. So like Latifi, you're not doing anything to warrant you sticking around. I mean, Albon's battling in the points sometimes during the races,
and
and
Albin's probably
Latifi's
behind you going to the team principal Yost, going, "Hey man, we got to do something." Because I'm beating them 12-1 or 12-2 on qualifying weekends, or like performances like this. You know, unfortunately, in any competitive, if you see the teams at the top, minus Red Bull, because I think Red Bull's this the exception because they have Max Verstappen. If you see the teams at the top, their equilibrium between drivers is very, very balanced.
very balanced. Yeah,
Mercedes with Lewis and George damn near flip a coin every weekend. That's who will win.
for
Uh,
sure.
Ferrari, I can say the same thing. Both of their drivers are just plagued by the team, so their drivers are completely out of it. Uh,
I want to say I think that if the season was better for Ferrari, you would see
it'd
Leclerc
be
in the Max
lopsided. Yeah,
Verstappen position. Yeah,
yeah, you're definitely correct. And then like I said with Red Bull, I think being the exception is yes, it's very lopsided to Max, but I think if you pair anyone, even if you had freaking Max and Lewis on the same team, Lewis would be pretty underwhelmingly lower than Max. I know that's a hot take. I know that is,
I don't
but
think it is. We'll talk about that later. I saw some crazy shit from him,
I
but
got some
dude,
crazy shit
that
from
guy
him.
is good.
But no,
He
I
is that
mean,
dude.
we just dude, this race was plagued by, let's
I will
see,
say I don't know that I would think Albon would be trying to get Latifi off the team. I don't know if
why, just
drivers
because
do
that
that.
makes Albin look like the shining star.
I mean, do drivers actually do that?
No, I mean, I'm not saying they do, but I've always had that notion just because of the 2018 season with Fernando Alonso on McLaren. The year right before Alonso decided he was going to retire, obviously he just took a 2-year sabbatical, but
Hmm.
right when he was going to retire, the huge rumor on the grid was, yes, it was McLaren F1 Racing or whatever, but it was definitely Team Alonso, and he had a bunch of the say, a bunch of the pull, a bunch of who was coming in, what happened, what upgrades.
Hmm.
Apparently, that was the thing going. So if it happened
But
with him,
you got to think Alonso is also a champion. Albon doesn't really have that kind of credentials, and he's on Williams. Like it's not like
I don't
he's on
think
the top
any of them
team.
have that credentials at Williams. They've gutted their whole crew the past 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he was.
I mean, I'm not saying it is happening. I'm just saying it it has the potential, and if I'm going to see any team trying to gear themselves towards success, I'm going to go with the Red Bull Academy
Williams.
driver that
Yeah.
has a little bit of taste at Red Bull, knows what winning's like with them, comes back, drives the shit out of your car, makes your car look way better than what it actually is some days. And it's
The
like,
only one getting points on the team.
I literally the only one getting points. I mean, you see the
He's like, hey,
separate.
can I get a little help here?
I mean, it's true. Like, don't get me wrong. Latifi started in 20th and Albon was in 15th, but it's like just the racecraft that's there. Even if Albon started in
Yeah,
20th, I know he's not finishing in 20th. Latifi, I can't say the same.
yeah, but
Like,
yeah, dude, this I don't know, this race was insane. So we had that Magnussen stuff took us on this Latifi tangent, but also like Lewis, dude, he was hunting down Carlos like lap 6 and he had mediums and Carlos was on softs.
yeah, and I think with those softs, man, they had a very fine window of being just the ultimate tire, but once they fell off, there's no saving them. I think the moment you started seeing like some sort of graining or fall off on those softs, there's no amount of tire management that'll save them. So I think once he was past that, and like you said, obviously Lewis looking really good on the mediums
Dude,
and actually caring for him. I mean, he caught him very quickly.
yeah, but that was only on like lap 6, dude. Like I didn't think the softs would fall off that fast. I guess maybe they
Yeah,
do,
but
but
Ferrari's car is in shambles, so I'm sure they don't
yeah.
handle any tire really good at all right now.
Plus, I was also reading like having a high downforce setup, obviously you're going to be putting a lot more force on the tires, so it's going to degrade your tires faster. So it's like the Ferrari car was always kind of built to just eat tires this season.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And but
Yeah,
when like you said, when they have 17 other things to deal with,
that's
tires,
the least of their
yeah,
worries.
that's the least of their worries. But at the same time, it's the most of their worries because they can't even count to four to take them to a pit stop. Like, dude,
Yeah, yeah. So we got one, two, three tires come out for Carlos Sainz. He was doing solid, like he was doing good. Like he was way ahead of Perez. Like he was pretty much racing Checo this race. Like even though like Max was, or I mean, uh, even though Lewis was behind him, he was still in a race with Checo because Lewis just had insane pace, and they were
yeah.
going for a two-stop strategy, or no, one-stop strategy, and everyone else was on the two-stop. Uh,
Which is
and
crazy,
so
by the way. I know, like the one stop on the Dutch Grand Prix is 100% doable, but man, you got to be on top of your shit. But obviously, we saw what happened. It was safety car galore, and people got in 4 stops, some got in 3 stops, some stayed happy with 2, and it came up and bit them in the ass later. But
yeah,
like,
so the pit stops, yeah, definitely everything got changed with the safety cars, but Mercedes, honestly, they looked like they had the premier strategy had the race gone flawlessly without any, safety cars.
yeah,
But and then yeah, so they bring Carlos Sainz in the pits, and then they bring three tires out. They're sitting there waiting for the fourth one. They leave a freaking tire gun, the wheel gun out, and
yeah,
Checo gets the lightning quick. I think it was like a low twos or maybe even 2 seconds. I think I saw insanely fast pit stop, and they kind of gets overshadowed because of the 13-second pit stop
yeah,
that
exactly. That it's compared
the
to right
Ferrari
in
had.
front of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he launches out, and they had the wheel gun sitting out, and he runs over the wheel gun when he's leaving because Ferrari's team just had this thing laying out.
Dude, imagine that caused a puncture, and what does Checo do right there? Because he can't. It's not like he can reverse and get pushed back. He's in the middle of he's in
The
the
pit,
middle of the
yeah,
pit lane with the
his race
whole
is
grid
over.
coming in.
His race is over.
Yeah, his race is over. And mind you, I'm not gonna lie, that pit lane, it's really tight. I
It is
understand it.
really
It
tight.
is it is very tight. All the teams are basically on top of each other.
Yeah, it's
But
a 60-mile-per-hour like pit
we've
limit in
raced in
there.
Monaco before. That shit's tighter. Like we can't have those mistakes because one, Ferrari looks like the laughing stock on the pit stop because it's almost a 15-second pit stop, which obviously was 12 and some change, but almost a 15-second pit stop. You brought out 3 tires. You can't even keep your goddamn equipment within the little box you're allocated, and like you get in, you brought out 3 tires, you go, you're waiting for the other one. Meanwhile, Sergio actually has a race to win or try to win and gets out, runs over your gun. You just kind of look around. Imagine that caused a puncture. Think about how ridiculous your team would look sitting right there.
Oh my God, yeah. But hey, no need to fire the team, right? They're good.
No need, yeah, no need to change the consistency in the team. Yeah, no need to change. We just need to focus on why we're slow. Like that. What?
God.
What the
But
hell?
this is why Binotto should be working on the development of the car, not managing the team, because he can't focus on the other stuff.
Hot take. He goes to the development of the car. Seb retires and takes the team principal position. Ferrari. He's a driver. He's a driver's coach. He leads the team to victory. He restores peace and order back into Ferrari. He makes Benito his right hand man. Of listen, I forgive you for ruining my career, but we're gonna take this thing back to the top. And Leclerc becomes champion next year. Book it.
Wow, that's like a movie right there. I like that.
That like,
I'm gonna dream
oh
about that
man,
tonight, and
dude.
then wake up to a freaking cold sweat when I realize it's not happening.
Yeah, you wake up, you're like, wow, I thought actually there was success in Ferrari's future. Damn.
Yeah, it was kind of like an Avatar plot line right there. But yeah, we had that crazy battle, and then I gotta say, Seb kind of started the pit stop shenanigans,
He
just like
did.
he started the drivers market this season. By he was the first one in the pits, and then you saw a bunch of people coming in after, and then Haas is certainly a certified sister team of Ferrari because they gave Mick a 12-second pit stop also or something.
Yeah, after this weekend, definitely looked like the Haas garage
A
just
bunch of
watches Ferrari
wankers.
garage film. They just watch a film class on their master class of a pit stop and then go, "Yep, let's do that, guys. Let's just do that."
Dude, yeah, they gave him a horrible pit stop and they took him out of the points contention this weekend.
Yeah, and
So
Mick started in P8 to start the race, man.
yeah,
Like
mind you,
he
he finished ahead of Magnussen yet again and qualified ahead of him again. So I think Mick, he hasn't signed his contract with Haas. People were thinking it's because he's getting rid of him, but I think all the balls are in his court now. Like he's definitely the premier driver for Haas.
I actually think that Mick, who man, what does Haas do? What does Haas do? Do they let him, because obviously Mick is probably commanding. He's not commanding, but he's probably demanding a little bit more like security with the seat. He probably wants to sign a 2 year. He probably wants to get paid a little bit more. Uh,
Hmm.
on top of that, but Mick is also in his head of yes, I want all those things. I just don't know if I want it with Haas right now. The fact of the matter
Yeah,
is if Haas wants him, but also wants Daniel Ricciardo, well, I mean, what do you do? Is there a world? I know this is wacky, and I know there's different stuff we have to figure out. Is there a world that we can actually see Ricciardo and Mick both get signed, and Magnussen unfortunately get in the boot?
I mean, we saw them get rid of Magnussen and Grosjean in the same season. So
That's true for two
I
unproven
think
rookies. So yeah,
look, I think Haas is definitely a pretty cutthroat team. So I think they could do something like that. Even though they are like, they're definitely one of the back markers of the teams, but like this season they took a huge leap up. They absolutely finessed Russia with the with the
dude.
Mazepin family.
Holy hell. Yeah,
Like,
they I
don't
think
forget about that.
this whole season has been a dub for Haas, honestly.
Yeah,
Went from dead
Gunther.
last to what, P7 in
Yeah,
the drivers championship while keeping all of their funding from Mazepin from the start of the year and ditching him and bringing back Magnussen, and now their car actually looks pretty decent.
and their
Like,
gamble on Mick's actually starting to pay off. I know we were hard on him at the start of the season, but we needed to see the points, and now we have, and now you're seeing the performances. And I think that's also why like Mick might be hesitant to stay with them because like I think he wants to win. Obviously, he should want to win.
yeah,
And
the last half of the season showed his ceiling. Shows
yeah,
more potential.
yep. So yeah, Haas. I mean, Gunther Steiner is definitely the most gangster team principal on the grid. I think he's probably
Undeniable.
undeniable. Big fan of that guy, honestly. Keep up
Huge fan
what
of
you're
that
doing,
guy.
bro.
But I mean, yeah, it's like, and we get into that, which I do want to say, I do want to say something. We had I want to make a point. Last week we had Danny Rick starting in P7 and Lando in P17. This
Hmm.
week we had Norris starting in P7 and Danny Rick in P17. Why is it now? Trust me, I know it's not cut and dry black and white. Why is it that last week we see Lando hawk Danny Rick due to strategy and finish way above him, even though he started 10 grid places lower than him, and same machinery, same whatever. Now today, or this week, we see Lando not move from his position. He finishes P7 in between Alonso and Ocon because I know that's their main rival. And Danny Rick just got left in the dust. Why?
Well,
Why is that,
it's because they're always going to pit Danny Rick first to test out the tires to see if they're
dude?
right for Lando.
Thank you, because that actually is a right answer, and I'm just. I mean, I guess if he's gone, I get it hurts to see.
Yeah,
It literally is one of the most frustrating things to see because that it's an exact mirrored situation. We have one car at the back, one car at the front. Last week the car at the back beat the car in the front for whatever reason. Obviously we all know the reasons, but yeah, whatever. This week we have the same thing with flip-flop drivers, but nothing happens. They stay right where they need to be. And it's like
yeah. I mean,
I don't get that shit, man. Don't get
it's
that
it's
shit at all.
obvious. It's obvious McLaren's going to favor Lando. They're going to put him on the best strategy, and I mean they should because he's performing better. But it definitely does suck to see. But
And
it's
then
clear.
you hear, did you see that little video of Ricardo walking with Checo? I think it was either right before or after the race. He was overheard saying, he goes, "Yeah, I could, just take the year off and come back in 24." Like, I was like, dude, no. I was like, no, no, please, no. And
Man,
Ricardo said that to Checo. I was like, no, no, I don't
no.
want that to be a thing because we all know, minus Alonso, maybe. We all know that's basically an F1 career death sentence, taking a
Yeah, if he
year
takes a
off,
year off, yeah, he's not coming back.
especially with the talent coming up right now, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of young people that are hungry for seats.
But yeah, man,
Um, yeah, I didn't hear that, and that's definitely makes me a little sad right now. But I think we got to touch on this. I think this is gonna definitely piss off some people, but we got to talk about the conspiracy theories of the race.
we do. We do,
There's
because
definitely two major
honestly,
ones.
if you didn't see the race, I do encourage you of just going back and watch it, because honestly, if we went point by point of every little thing that happened in this race, we'd be here for 2-3 hours. But yeah, please, I want you to, in detail, if you can break down this whole Red Bull AlphaTauri situation,
Well,
because
so
I think that's the
yeah,
most spiciest one out of the two.
there is the mainstream conspiracy theory, but I also came up with my own side conspiracy theory that I'll talk about after. But
Interesting.
here's the main conspiracy theory is that Yuki Tsunoda, he had a pit stop and it kind of went a little, it was pretty slow. It wasn't Ferrari slow, but it was bad, and
Yeah,
they had some issues with putting one of the front tires on, I think, front left. And then he goes out, he's driving and he's going slow, and then he's like staying off the racing line. He's like, yo, this tire's fitted wrong. He thinks it's the wheel bearings loose or whatever, and so he pulls over. They're like, oh no, everything's good, like come back to the pits. And Yuki's getting a penalty for this also because
yeah,
he loosened his seat belts because he was ready to get out of the car, and then he drove back to the pits with the seatbelts loosened. So he's getting a penalty for unsafe, whatever, driving the car in an unsafe condition because of the seatbelts. So that was weird. But so he comes back to the pits. They had a virtual safety car while he was out there when he was driving back in, and then he gets a new set of tires or something. And then they send him back out on the track, and he was already noticed something was weird. And then even in that pit stop, it was kind of slow, also front
yeah,
left tire still. And then he goes back out there. Then he stops the car again. He's like, "Yeah, there's something wrong." And then they do a real safety car, and this is where you see Max was able to get a third pit stop in uh,
dude, that third pit
to get
stop helped
fresh
him
tires.
so much.
Because yeah, he was far behind the pace. Lewis had way more pace all weekend on, or not weekend, but all race day. He was definitely ahead, and he had better tires
Better
for the
strategy, better
situation,
tires. Yeah,
better
he
strat. So
actually, Mercedes was set up completely for success this weekend.
yeah, exactly. And then so Max gets that little freebie pit stop, uh, and I think Mercedes stays out, or do they pit right here?
No, they
No,
pit
they pit.
George. They pit
They pit
George, and
George. No,
they left Lewis out.
no, they pit both of them for mediums also
Wait,
because
wait, wait.
Max.
You're right. George got that last extra pit stop at the end for the fresh
Yeah.
stops.
So Max was able to pit and come out ahead of Lewis. So Mercedes says, "All right, we're doing pits also because Max is still going to be ahead of us." So they both get mediums, both of Mercedes cars.
Yeah,
Uh, and so yeah, they do that. But the conspiracy theory is that uh, Red Bull had AlphaTauri send Yuki Tsunoda out, knowing that his car would have a safety car, so that they could get a free pit stop because they were on the wrong tires. That's
yeah,
the
and
conspiracy
they
theory.
knew the problem by the second pit stop that the differential was already screwed up, and like something in the data was telling them, yes, that this is the matter. Because if Yuki was bitching about the same problem on the first pit stop, comes in, they basically do nothing. I mean, they do what is just switch out another set of tires and then send him on his way. Like that
Yeah,
was, I mean, that they base in theory did nothing, sent him back out. He realizes the problem's still there, and then obviously forces a whole nother actual safety car and this, that, and the other. So it's, you know, there's a lot of gray area. We've seen shit done like this, man. We've seen it in the history of F1. Am I going to 100% undisputed say that that is something that happened? No, I'm not. But I am going to leave this to open interpretation because, like, you know,
AlphaTauri, Red Bull.
I'm not
We're
saying.
getting kicked out of the Red Bull community for
Oh
this.
yeah, for sure. Because I'm gonna clip this and post it in that group. No, no,
Oh no. No, but look, I will say I love conspiracy theories. And it was easy for me to come up with this one during the race because I
yeah. Let
love
me hear
conspiracy
your
theories.
theory.
But I take conspiracy theories as a form of entertainment, kind of like how some people like to read, books and novels. I like to watch conspiracy theories. So I'm not saying that they did this, but it certainly would be funny and it makes for a good conspiracy theory. But I said that I had a second conspiracy theory, and it's later on in the race. You see Valtteri Bottas he DNFs because Alfa
Because
Romeo, but was it Alfa
Valtteri
Romeo
it's
or was
James.
it? Was it? Was it Mercedes? Did they said, okay, we need an extra pit stop here. We gotta spice it up, and then they have Valtteri, the ultimate teammate, the wingman to Lewis. They just said, hey, dude, press the button, flip it, shut down your car.
They patched into his radio and said, "Hey Valtteri, one time for old time's sake."
Like, look, bud, your season's not going that great. It's not like you have that many finishes to begin with.
All that for Lewis to finish P5 anyways.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of why it sucks because it's like, or take that back, P4. But that it's at the end with all that happening, you had the late VB retirement, which, man, I don't know. Alfa Romeo is going to have to focus on themselves instead of giving sly remarks about Nicholas Latifi during their press conferences. Because
mm,
don't get me wrong, I I'm 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 totally down with throwing shots at Latifi. Listen, we do it all the time on this show, but but when you're on a team that you're flipping a coin of which driver is going to see the finish line this weekend, that's not a good start, and doesn't really warrant you the grounds of saying really anything about Nicholas Latifi and his car or finishing a race. You know,
yep,
sometime the car good, sometime the car bad, sometimes it's Nicholas Latifi. You know, like you can't be saying that because you have VB DNF in 3 times out of the last 5 races, basically. I think.
yeah, yep,
Like, and then Joe, something mechanic. He maybe not DNFs off of like failure, but something happens to where it compromises his race drastically. So it's
yeah,
like, I don't know, man. Literally everyone that's Ferrari powered right now is down horrendous.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, 100%. But speaking of Joe. I think he's my sleeper favorite of the race. I saw him doing some really cool stuff. I saw him showing off his racecraft. I saw him competing with these other guys. Like there was one moment where Alonso was behind the what's it called? He was behind Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, and he makes a move on Gasly, and then Joe's right behind him, putting
Oh
pressure
yeah.
right on Gasly immediately. I was like, oh, I like that, And I think he's my favorite rookie so far. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty hype on him, so I liked seeing that from him.
No, I agree. I think he in the past 2 years, we all knew Mick could race. We all knew Yuki was a fiery racer. We all knew, well, actually, we all knew Nikita couldn't race. Um, but I think the rookies I've seen, with me being this involved in F1 now, I think Zhou Guan Yu is a very, very exciting driver. Is he the most? Is he the most like flashy, like hungry, get his elbows out driver? No, he's not. But I think some teams need that security in a young driver right now. And honestly, he's doing great things at Alfa Romeo. It's just Alfa Romeo isn't giving him the greatest of platforms to do that on. So it's just
And
kind of
then
unfortunate.
I think my other favorite moment of the race was seeing Mick Schumacher going wheel to wheel with Vettel,
Man,
like around three
my
or
heart
four
was so
corners.
full in that moment.
I had to replay that. I replayed it.
A tear, just one singular tear shedded down my face, and it's like what you see in the movies of you have that half smile of man, this is nice, and it's a shame
Yeah.
we don't get to see it anymore. But at the same time, I mean, hey, man, Seb's the four-time. He's gonna live his life. Like I said, he's gonna come back in a couple years. He's gonna team principal Ferrari. His kids are gonna grow up. They're gonna get settled. They're fine. He's gonna come back, championship Ferrari team all the way. He's gonna win the constructors and the drivers' championship with his lead driver. I'm calling it.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, no, that was definitely a movie moment right there. Like that was super cool seeing them race like that. And then like, man, they were so close to each other and it was clean racing too. Around like three or four corners. Like you can't ask for anything better.
Oh yeah, and let's get towards the end of the race because
Yeah,
honestly,
back to the
man,
race.
yeah, we've been going on tangents because there's so much shit that happened in this race.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
But
we the second conspiracy, Valtteri DNFs, they get another safety car out there. And then this is where Ferrari gets strike 2 and strike 3 on the weekend. They should be out right now. This is where like uh the safety car comes up and Ocon and Sainz are racing, which is sad because Carlos shouldn't be racing
yeah,
Ocon.
no, you
Uh
shouldn't. You should be
and so
racing
he's
George or
he's
Lewis right now.
yeah, he's pushing on Ocon. Safety flag goes out. Yellow flag, or not safety flag. Yellow flags are out, and I think Ocon lets off, and then Carlos passes Ocon under yellow flags, which is that's a big deal. That's a big no-no.
Yeah,
And so
literally like one of the only no-nos you're not supposed to do when there's yellow
yeah,
flags.
that and it's down the straight where Valtteri is just broken down at the end on the right
I
side,
know.
so it's
And he's
even more
passing on
dangerous.
the right side towards VB.
Yeah, so it's super,
Like
super, super sketch right here. And then like people are like, okay, safety car, pit stop time. Uh, they come in for pit stops again, and what does Ferrari do? They let Carlos Sainz release
unsafe release
and
right in front of the
releases.
freaking McLaren, I think.
I think it was Alonso.
No, you're
That
right. You're right. Correct.
Yeah, they just let him go right out in front of Alonso. Alonso's, quick to brake and slow down, but that was almost a collision. So that's strike 3. Ferrari's team really they're the laughing stock of the weekend, I think. But
Dude, yeah, Carlos Sainz goes to finish P5 and, because of the unsafe release, gets a 5-second
5-second
penalty.
penalty.
And because we had so many safety cars and the last, I think 10 laps, we came out of a safety car. So everyone for the last 10 laps is bunched up, ready to go. So it's real racing.
Yeah.
It almost looked for a little bit like we were going to have a repeat of Abu Dhabi with Max and Lewis restart on the safety car, 10 lap shootout, this, that, and the other. But Matt, like off that
It was
safety
a
car,
repeat.
dude, it literally was. But the only reason I say it wasn't Max's restart. Oh my goodness, he timed it literally perfect.
Yeah,
He
and this is why earlier when you said you think if Max and Lewis were on the same team, Max would still be dominating. Like this is where I saw him. He's a freak athlete. Like I don't know what's up with this guy. The restart was perfect. He slowed off the gas to let Lewis cross the line ahead of him and then just fucking passed him.
literally like it's almost as he was setting it up just he was setting everything up on the queue up coming out of the last turn to get ready for the straight. Like he had Lewis. I think by the time the first lap before the first lap even ended off the restart of the safety car, Max already had a second on him.
He was so fast he had to let off to make sure that Lewis was able to cross the line before him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, like he is a freak of nature right now. Literally, I think Max is racing his own race. He's not worried about anyone else on the grid. I don't even think he has a main rival right now that he has to beat out. Like,
No, yeah, he's just on easy mode, cruising.
like
But
literally just cruising. He's got the
yeah,
driver
and
difficulties turned down to like 60%. He's just absolutely cruising.
yeah, it's wild. But I think one important thing to note is the 2016 F1 champion Nico Rosberg, who beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery, was
You just had
pulling
to
for
say that
him.
whole sentence, huh?
Of course, you always do. But he was rooting for him. I like to see that. That was nice.
I mean, he was, but in the same breath, he's rooting for him, but absolutely ripping not Mercedes, but for
Mercedes.
Ferrari apart. He's
He's
ripping
like,
Ferrari apart. Like, well, I mean, you got F2 teams and F3 teams that they could hang up here instead of Ferrari.
dude, I like Nico Rosberg. This
I
guy's
love
awesome.
him.
He was like, yeah, man. We know he's on the wrong tires, but I hope he can pull it off. It's like, ooh, that's a punch at Mercedes. And then Lewis Hamilton, he's pissed off. He's like, why would you guys do this to me? I mean, ask and you'll receive. George Russell did.
I mean, yeah, it is true. Like George Pitt, he goes, no, I want soft, so this, that, and the other. Like it's
What are they gonna
true.
do? Say no?
I
He's
mean,
ahead in the
yeah,
points.
that's true. What literally what are they gonna do? Say no? But at the same time, I think Lewis is finally getting a taste of his own medicine, being the number two
Yep.
driver for the weekend.
Yep.
Like they made the choice, and Lewis was like, "I can't believe you screwed me." VB sitting there to the side of first time.
First time for real, just like that meme. No, I know Lewis is definitely not happy with that, but I mean, George is ahead in points in the drivers, so like, or in the yeah, in the drivers race, like, you're gonna tell him no? Technically, he's your number one driver right now.
Yeah,
Sure,
I
he's
mean,
behind you. I mean, maybe, but like, what's worse? I mean, I guess the argument that Lewis would like to make is why wouldn't you pit both of them, right?
true, because it did seem a little silly at the time. Like rewinding it and looking at it now, I get it. But at the time, I was like, okay, you already double stacked for mediums. What's stopping you for double stacking softs? I
Yeah,
understand it's coming in crazy, like you're gonna lose a place and this and the other. Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean George lost the place too, but he had enough space, and Lewis did as well. Y'all easily could have double stacked softs, but I just I don't
I
know. I
guess
don't think it was a bad call, but I don't think it was a right call.
to think about it also, in a way, it is kind of better for Mercedes to do that because in theory they could finish better because they have one driver ahead of Max, and the other one's behind him on soft tire, and they've got good pace. So uh, maybe it was the right call in that. I mean, they also knew that the mediums would take a while to warm up, so they're
That's
kind of
true.
at a disadvantage. But like if Lewis was able to hold Max off, like there could have been a world that George would have passed him. They could have had a 1-2.
I know. We literally this race was looking of at best case scenario with everything going right, I was going to say Mercedes 2-3 Max winning because with Max's pace, that car, I mean, you even saw it when he finished. You had half the grid go over to his car and look at it just to see
Hmm.
what the hell's going on with it and how it's a rocket ship on land. But like it, you saw it could have been a 2-3, and then on the best case scenario when we saw it and all the stars aligned and everything was going right, it could have been a 1-2 for Mercedes, which would have been devastating to Ferrari because that means Ferrari would have been off the podium entirely. uh
They're getting
uh
jumped in the drivers, right?
Charles would have been P4 P5 off the podium entirely, which in turn would have dropped signs even further down to maybe even P9 because if he finished say P5 P6, he gets the time penalty, drops down to P8
Well,
P9.
well, well. That wouldn't there would have been no time penalty if the race went perfect and Mercedes got their 1-2, I
Ah,
think.
well, yeah, that's fair. The last, yeah, it did. His time penalty did happen on the very last pit stop they did. So okay, that makes sense. You're right. But I mean, and there could have been a world if one more pit stop did not happen that we could have seen a Mercedes 1-2, Max P3 with Charles maybe P4, P5, Checo P4, P5, depending on where Charles finishes. And because they just absolutely botched Sainz race, he's finishing, P6, P7 regardless.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's a tough pill to swallow when you're Ferrari, when you literally you ruined your race from a pit stop, but also slightly got bailed out from a pit stop, but then ruined it immediately again by getting a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
It's
No,
kind of screwed
there's
up.
yeah, their team's definitely in not the best place, but yeah, I know I feel Lewis is definitely a little chapped about it, but I think George Russell made the right call, and I think Mercedes should have done both of them in the pits, but I don't even know if that would have really helped because Max was in a league of his own.
Yeah, no, you'd right. But yeah, I mean, it was a wild race, but to finish off the race, we had Verstappen P1, very obvious. Russell P2, Leclerc P3, Hamilton P4. The 2-4 for Mercedes is actually very good because of their championship with Ferrari and catching them. So that's really not bad. Uh, P5 Checo, P6 Alonso, P7 Norris. This is where it gets spicy. So the P6 Alonso, P7 Norris, P8 Sainz, P9 Ocon, obviously holding up to anywhere between P8 to P12. So good on you, Ocon. And then Stroll for the 10th spot. But Norris being in between those Alpines just extend Alpine that a little bit much more. Like it's not much, but they're 24 points ahead of McLaren now, so they really got to do something.
Yeah, and I think we definitely see Mercedes jump Ferrari this year. Like I think the Mercedes car on the right weekend could rival for a win, just like they were today. But I think that's going to be purely on strategy. Well, I don't know. I think I saw that the Mercedes car had really good pace also. So I think Mercedes is definitely back now. They're in the fight for race wins. They're definitely in the fight for P2 in the teams. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
yeah. Looking at the now updated driver standings, we'll do the driver standings first, and then go into the teams. But the driver standings, we got obviously Max increasing his lead to 310, so he's at 310 with Leclerc at 201. Which now we have Leclerc and Perez tied at 201 for
But
P2.
Leclerc's second because he has a race win.
Yeah, correct. The tiebreakers there are race wins.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that's so technically they're tied on points, but yes, Leclerc P2 201, Perez 201 at P3. Russell increased his little gap between signs, so that's 188 and signs is at 175. So what, 13 points? Yeah, 13-point lead on signs. We have Hamilton now catching signs, which signs is in danger of dropping past both Mercedes now, with Hamilton at 158 and Sainz at 175. And now, obviously, we have a huge drop off from Hamilton to Norris. Norris is at 82, which finishing in between the Alpines this weekend helped him in the driver's standings for sure, because Ocon and Alonso are right behind him, being at 66 and 59 for Alonso. And then Valtteri Bottas still standing strong in the top 10. Like that's how you know he's a champion driver if given the right machinery. But, just imagine what he could have done with that Alfa Romeo if he didn't DNF 4 times.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. But yeah, next weekend coming up, we have Monza. So tune in.
Monza.
Yeah, It's gonna be a good weekend. Not for Ferrari. So tune into our next episode. We're gonna do our predictions on the race. This time we nailed all the drivers on the podium. We didn't get the order perfect.
Yeah.
We had P2 and P3 flipped. So uh, that was pretty cool. I was happy to see that. Not the result, but that we got our prediction somewhat right. And then We're gonna talk about how Ferrari blows this next race. I'm betting on reliability, but yeah, we'll talk about that on the
I'm
next one.
actually
So
betting no, you're 100% on the reliability because they had the unfortunate, penalties and pit stops and all that stuff. Now it's actually time for a true DNF, and I'm thinking power unit failure for one of them.
yeah, but we'll touch more on that in the next episode. But yeah, this was 24 Dutch Grand Prix. It was
34.
a great race. Yeah, 34. Sorry,
Yeah.
34. Great race.
No, yeah, it was an awesome race. There's a lot of things that happened, but yeah, that was episode 34. We'll be back at you later this week with episode 35. Hit up our Twitters. We have at TLUPF1, Instagram at TLUP.F1, uh, Spotify. Just search up the Lockup Podcast, Apple Podcasts, the Lockup Podcast, all that stuff. We're on Anchor.fm. If you don't use Apple or Spotify, like Deezer or Stitcher, make sure to give our YouTube some love. We're we're grinding that out. We're having some success, some not. We're staying consistent. We're trying out here. We're gonna do it big. We'll keep going. But honestly, just thank you for the love recently, and y'all try to have a good rest of the day. And I think that's deuces from us.